Hi, everyone. Welcome to a special lecture. We've spent a lot of semester talking about all the different concepts of NLP. That a conceptual approach to help everyone understand why things are the way they are. This week, we are going to talk about the real-world examples of cryptography. It will be a shorter lecture than normal, but nothing short of exciting. Let's get started. Before we dive into the lecture, let's set clear learning objectives. By the end of today's session, you'll be able to identify how cryptography is applied in areas like messaging apps, online payments, and IoT devices. You'll also gain insights into advanced concepts like post-quantum cryptography and homomorphic encryption, which are shaping the future of secure systems. Additionally, we'll examine the challenges in implementing these systems, such as ethical dilemmas around encryption, backdoors, and technical errors like reuse initialization vectors. Finally, you'll see how zero-knowledge proofs enable privacy-preserving applications in real-world scenarios. Section 1. Practical applications of NLP and AI. As we know, cryptography primarily ensures three things: confidentiality, so only authorized parties can access data; integrity, so data isn't altered during transmission; and authentication, ensuring the identity of the sender or receiver. We've also learned about symmetric and asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption uses a single key for both encryption and decryption. Think of AES. Asymmetric encryption, like RSAs or ECC, uses a key pair, one public and one private. These algorithms form the backbone of protocols, like HTTPS, which secures your internet browsing, and VPNs, which protect your online activities. We will actually be talking about zero-knowledge proofs first. They are a fascinating area of cryptography. They allow someone to prove they know something without revealing what that something is. For example, zero-knowledge, succinct, non-interactive arguments of knowledge are used in zk-SNARKs, cryptocurrency, to verify transactions without revealing details about the sender, recipient, or amount. Imagine another application, verifying your age to buy alcohol online. Instead of providing your birth date, a zero-knowledge proof could confirm that you're over 18 without disclosing any additional information. Similarly, in authentication systems, zero-knowledge proofs could verify that you know your password without ever transmitting it, reducing the risk of interception. Next, as we talked about before, secure communication is one of the most visible applications of cryptography. Let's start with messaging apps like WhatsApp and Signal. These apps use end-to-end encryption to ensure that only the sender and the recipient can read the messages, even if someone intercepts the data. Signal protocol, for instance, uses the double ratchet algorithm. This algorithm dynamically generates new encryption keys for every session and message, ensuring forward secrecy. Forward secrecy means that if today's key is compromised, previous messages remain safe because each session uses different keys. On the other hand, email encryption is handled differently. PGP, or Pretty Good Privacy, is a hybrid system that combines symmetric encryption for speed and asymmetric encryption for secure key exchange. It's widely used for encrypting sensitive emails, particularly in fields like journalism and activism, where privacy is critical. Cryptography is essential to modern financial systems. Let's first discuss digital wallets like Apple Pay and Google Pay. These systems protect your card information using tokenization. Instead of transmitting your actual card number, a unique token is generated for each transaction. Along with this, a dynamic cryptogram adds another layer of security, ensuring that even if someone intercepts the token, they can't reuse it. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin take this a step further. Every transaction in Bitcoin is recorded on a blockchain, a public ledger. The blockchain is secured using SHA-25C6, a cryptographic hash function that creates a unique fingerprint for each transaction. Additionally, Bitcoin uses the elliptic curve digital signature algorithm, ECDSA, to verify that a transaction was signed by the wallet owner, ensuring authenticity. Next, as IoT devices proliferate, securing them becomes increasingly important. Devices like smart locks, voice assistants, and even connected refrigerators often have limited computational power, so they rely on lightweight encryption algorithms like SHA-256. SHA-256 is both fast and secure, making it ideal for such devices. Replay attacks are another significant concern. Imagine a scenario where someone records the command to unlock your smart door and replays it later. Nonces, unique one-time use numbers, prevent this. Each interaction generates a new nonce, and if an old command is reused, the system rejects it. These mechanisms ensure IoT devices remain both functional and secure. Let's talk about some trends. Cryptography is not static. It evolves to meet emerging threats. Quantum computing represents one of the most significant challenges. Current cryptographic systems like RSA and ECC rely on problems that quantum computers can solve efficiently, such as factoring large numbers. Shor's algorithm demonstrates this capability. To counter this, researchers are developing post-quantum cryptography. For example, lattice-based cryptography relies on problems like the shortest vector problem, which remain hard for quantum computers. Another exciting trend is homomorphic encryption. It allows computations to be performed on encrypted data without decrypting it. For instance, in healthcare, this means patient data can remain encrypted while being analyzed for trends, preserving privacy without sacrificing utility. Even the strongest cryptographic systems can fail if implemented poorly. For instance, reusing initialization vectors in AES GCM can make encryption vulnerable to attacks. Similarly, weak random number generators can lead to predictable keys, undermining security. Human factors are another weak link. Weak passwords remain one of the most common vulnerabilities, and social engineering attacks like phishing can bypass cryptographic protections by exploiting trust. Lastly, ethical dilemmas arise around encryption backdoors. Governments argue they need these backdoors to catch criminals, but creating them also introduces vulnerabilities that can be exploited by attackers, raising questions about the trade-offs between privacy and security. To make today's lecture more engaging, we're going to analyze a real-world example, the Heartbleed vulnerability. This infamous bug exposed the critical role of cryptography in ensuring secure communication and what happens when things go wrong. Let's break it down step by step. Here's the background story. The Heartbleed vulnerability, disclosed in April 2014, is considered one of the most significant cybersecurity flaws in internet history. It was a bug in the OpenSSL cryptographic library, which is widely used to implement TLS, transport layer security, and SSL, secure sockets layer, protocols. These protocols secure communications on the internet, including websites, emails, and virtual private networks, VPNs. The flaw was in the Heartbeat extension of OpenSSL. This extension was designed to keep a secure connection alive by sending a small data packet, heartbeat request, from the client to the server and having the server echo it back. However, the implementation failed to verify that the size of the data sent matched the declared size in the request. This allowed an attacker to send a tiny request while declaring a much larger size, causing the server to return a chunk of its memory as a response. The issue originated in the Heartbeat extension of OpenSSL, which was introduced to maintain active connections without renegotiating them. Here's how the Heartbeat extension worked. A client, like your web browser, would send a small data packet to the server, including a payload and a declared size for that payload. The server would echo the payload back to confirm the connection. However, the implementation did not verify whether the declared size matched the actual size of the payload. This allowed attackers to craft malicious heartbeat requests, declaring a much larger size than the actual payload. As a result, the server would respond by sending more data than it should, potentially revealing sensitive information stored in memory. How big was this problem? Approximately 17% of the internet's secure web servers were vulnerable at the time of the disclosure. Major companies affected included Yahoo, Dropbox, and several government websites. The attack didn't leave a trace, so it's impossible to know how much data was actually stolen. The bug impacted systems using OpenSSL versions, which were released between March 2012 and April 2014. What did we learn? Heartbleed taught the cryptographic and software development community several critical lessons. Secure coding practices. The vulnerability arose from a failure to validate inputs properly. This underscores the importance of rigorous coding standards and thorough code reviews, especially in cryptographic libraries. Comprehensive testing. Cryptographic software should undergo exhaustive testing, including edge cases like mismatched input sizes to prevent such flaws from slipping through. Key management. Once the vulnerability was discovered, it wasn't enough to patch OpenSSL. All private keys potentially exposed had to be replaced. This highlighted the need for robust key management strategies. Rapid patching. Timely updates and patching are crucial. Many websites remained vulnerable long after the bug was disclosed, either due to delayed action or lack of awareness. Community responsibility. OpenSSL was maintained by a small team of volunteers with limited resources. This incident emphasized the need for adequate funding and support for critical open source projects. Despite these efforts, Heartbleed left a lasting mark on the cybersecurity landscape, highlighting the risks of relying on underfunded open source projects. That was a lot to take in. I'm happy to have you come along with me on this journey. Thank you for a great semester. Wishing you all the best.